What happens when two economic superpowers clash over trade, tariffs, and global influence? As of January 20, 2025, President Donald Trump has swiftly implemented a bold series of tariffs aimed at key U.S. trading partners, notably Canada, Mexico, and China. His administration's aggressive stance is centered on addressing persistent issues like illegal immigration, drug trafficking, and trade imbalances. But how will these drastic measures shape the future of U.S. relations with its neighbors and the world at large? On President Trump's first day in office, he wasted no time in making a controversial announcement: a 25% tariff on all imports from Canada and Mexico. According to his administration, the tariffs were a necessary step to combat illegal immigration and curb the influx of dangerous drugs, particularly fentanyl, into the United States. These tariffs, slated to take effect on February 1, 2025, have already sparked intense opposition, especially from Canada. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau wasted no time in expressing his concerns, warning that such drastic measures would not only harm the Canadian economy, but could also negatively impact American consumers and businesses. In response, Trudeau emphasized the importance of maintaining a strong economic partnership between the U.S. and Canada, hinting at potential retaliatory measures if the tariffs are enforced. Meanwhile, south of the border, Mexico's president, Claudia Sheinbaum, criticized the tariffs, arguing that they wouldn't effectively tackle the issues of immigration and drug trafficking. In fact, she highlighted that addressing these complex problems would require greater collaboration between the U.S. and Mexico, not punitive tariffs. Sheinbaum also cautioned that such measures could strain diplomatic relations between the two countries at a time when cooperation is crucial for the region's stability. But President Trump's trade war doesn't end with North America. In his continued efforts to address what he sees as unfair trading practices, he has proposed an additional 10% tariff on all imports from China, citing the country's role in the production and distribution of fentanyl, a synthetic opioid contributing to the ongoing drug crisis in the U.S. This tariff is also slated to take effect on February 1, 2025, creating further tension with China, which has responded by emphasizing the mutual benefits of U.S.-China trade relations. The Chinese government has expressed hopes for constructive dialogue, urging both sides to engage in discussions to resolve the growing trade dispute without escalating tensions. But it's not just Canada, Mexico, and China that are feeling the pressure of Trump's trade policies. The European Union, one of the U.S.'s largest trading partners, has also come under scrutiny. President Trump has warned the EU that if it does not increase its purchases of American oil and gas, he will impose tariffs on European imports. According to Trump, the EU must reduce its trade deficit with the United States by making substantial energy purchases. If the EU fails to meet these demands, tariffs would be imposed, putting further strain on transatlantic relations. The EU has expressed deep concern about Trump's threats, with European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen warning that such actions could fracture the global economy and lead to a race to the bottom in international trade. She has emphasized the importance of maintaining strong economic ties and has indicated that the EU is willing to engage in negotiations to preserve trade relations with the US. However, the EU's position is complicated by several ongoing crises, particularly in the energy sector. Europe is already reeling from multiple energy crises triggered by the ongoing conflict in Ukraine, halting Russian energy transit and disrupting the global energy supply. Additionally, gas exports from Qatar have been reduced, and Iran has discontinued supplies due to unspecified technical problems. The European Union is grappling with a progressively unstable energy landscape, exacerbated by U.S. sanctions on Russian oil and gas, which have led to a dramatic spike in global energy prices. The impact of these energy crises on the EU has been severe, with gas prices soaring, public dissatisfaction with the European Commission increasing, and inflation continuing to burden European economies. The specter of additional tariffs on European products only adds to this already delicate situation, threatening to destabilize the region's economic stability. The EU is now scrambling to implement firm measures aimed at mitigating the potential consequences of Trump's trade policies. One such response has been to accelerate efforts to reduce Europe's dependence on US trade by diversifying its global trade partnerships. A crucial part of this strategy has been the EU's recent signing of a free trade agreement with Mexico. This agreement not only strengthens the EU's economic standing in North America, but also signals the EU's ability to forge meaningful alliances outside US influence. This partnership with Mexico is a direct countermeasure to the growing economic pressure from the US and underscores the EU's determination to expand its global trade network in the face of Trump's aggressive tariff policies. Furthermore, the EU has secured a groundbreaking free trade deal with the Mercosur bloc, comprising Argentina, Brazil, Paraguay, and Uruguay. After 25 years of negotiations, the agreement promises to create one of the world's largest free trade zones, covering over 700 million people and nearly 25% of global GDP. This deal removes tariffs on over 90% of goods traded between the EU and Mercosur countries, potentially saving EU companies around 4 billion euros annually in export duties. The EU also stands to benefit from improved access to the Mercosur markets, particularly in industries like automobiles and chemicals, while South American agricultural products, such as beef and poultry, will gain increased entry to the EU market. However, this deal has faced resistance within the EU, especially from European farmers and environmental organizations. Critics argue that the influx of South American agricultural products could undermine European farmers, while raising concerns over environmental standards. French President Emmanuel Macron has voiced strong reservations about the agreement, seeking additional safeguards and sustainable commitments before he will allow it to proceed. The deal will need to be ratified by all 27 EU member states and approved by the European Parliament before it can take effect. Given the opposition from key agricultural sectors, the ratification process could face significant hurdles, and it may take several years to finalize. The tension between the United States and the European Union, as well as with other trading partners like Canada and Mexico, marks a critical point in global trade relations. Since World War II, the US has played a pivotal role in shaping the post-war international order, with its engagement in Europe laying the foundation for what would later become the EU. The US supported the Marshall Plan in 1948 to rebuild Europe and stabilize the region's economies after the war. The US also played a key role in the establishment of the European Coal and Steel Community in 1951, which helped prevent future conflicts between France and Germany by integrating critical industries. Over the decades, the US and the EU developed a strong political and economic partnership, with the US establishing a diplomatic mission to the European communities in Brussels in 1961. Now, under President Trump, this relationship is being tested in unprecedented ways as the US pursues its America First agenda, seeking to reduce trade imbalances and assert its dominance in global markets. Its traditional allies, including Canada, Mexico, China, and the European Union, find themselves at odds with the Trump administration's increasingly protectionist policies. The next few years will be critical in determining how these relationships evolve and whether the US can maintain its role as a global leader while navigating the challenges presented by a shifting international order. In conclusion, the tariffs imposed by President Trump are more than just economic measures. They are part of a broader strategy aimed at reshaping global trade dynamics. As countries like Canada, Mexico, China, and the European Union respond to these aggressive policies, the consequences of these actions will ripple through global markets, potentially altering the landscape of international trade for years to come. The question remains, will these tariffs bring about the intended results, or will they spark a global trade war that reshapes the world's economic future? Only time will tell.